For the 2021-2022 season, Roma and New Balance released 5 different kits, and in this video I'll showcase all their details and also typical characteristics of counterfeits seen online, so that if you are looking to buy an authentic version, you'll know exactly what to look for. It goes without saying that these are merely guidelines. There isn't one arbitrary detail that if a shirt has, it is definitely real. But on the flip side, a lot of times I notice that really good fakes just have one detail that's off about it, but it's enough to prove that it's fake. So obviously you're always better off looking at the shirt in its entirety and never focusing only on just one thing. If you don't mind buying fakes, then no issues. This video is more so for those who care. Important to mention also that since New Balance offers both a more expensive elite version and a cheaper standard version, I made a different video on the channel that outlines the differences between these two versions, so check that out first if you're confused about that. In terms of the details of all authentic kits, we start off with the classic red home kit. The sizing info for this shirt and all shirts can be found on the inside of the neck. You've got then the stitched New Balance logo. You have the heat pressed badge for all elite kits only. Like I said, there's a video specifically that outlines the differences between elite and standard. Then you have the digital bits sponsor, the New Balance codes on the bottom of the kit, the internal tags on the inside. Then when you do flip the jersey, you will have AS Roma written as such on the back of the neck in a rubbery material. You then have the name set if you've actually got one, and then below that the Hyundai sponsor, unless of course you have a Conference League kit, which does not feature the Hyundai sponsor. Finally, the New Balance dry black tag at the bottom, and on the inside of that tag it says La Lupa. The tag is always on the left sleeve, and the sleeve itself has this weird bib-like extension on the end of it. You've also got a second variation of the red home kit, which was used specifically for the derby against Lazio, and I made a video about this kit if you're interested, but essentially the only difference is the badge with the ASR old school logo instead of the newer Roma logo. For the away kit, the white away kit, the placement for sizing info, tags and such is obviously identical. The New Balance logo is now red, as is the Digital Bits sponsor. The main change is the look of the sleeve, and also on the back of the neck, the AS Roma letters are carved out of a red and orange patch. This is consistent with the rest of the shirts as well, only the red home one has the rubbery AS Roma on the back of the neck. Here we have the orange yellowish third kit. This one's badge is a bit more rubbery and is obviously the only circular badge, but other than that, you can see what changes is essentially just the look of the kit. Everything else is identical, and the same can be said with the final kit of the 5, the blue kit, once again showing the same if not exact characteristics, just according to a different color scheme. Now before we look at the characteristics of fakes I've seen online, remember that if you buy a Roma kit with the Conference League patches, like I said earlier, due to UEFA regulations, these kits won't have the Hyundai sponsor on the lower back. Now this one specifically is blatantly fake with or without the sponsor, but keep that in mind if you care about something like this and you see someone selling maybe even an authentic kit with the Conference League patch, but it still has the Hyundai sponsor. Now the first sign of a fake is in the sizing details on the neck of the shirt. All authentic shirts this year are made in Thailand, which is interesting because specifically for Roma, when they were made with Nike, made in Thailand was basically your first cue that the shirt was fake. So for that reason, this year, you're gonna have to try a little harder to tell them apart. First of all, the real ones have a different font. It might not be obvious to everyone, but the font used for the real ones is cleaner, if that makes sense, and also thicker. A lot of the fakes, on the other hand, have a skinnier font being used. If they manage to replicate the font quite well, another sign to look out for is also in the spacing of the sizes. Look at the double XL on the reel and look at the country specific guides underneath and how they are placed relative to each other. On the real version, the letters of the countries on the bottom are centered, if that makes sense. On the fakes, they are not centered and they are often inconsistent. Sometimes they are centered, sometimes they are bordered to the left. It is especially obvious where it says 2XL and underneath it says Euro, because on the fakes, the word Euro starts so much earlier that the O of Euro is level with the L of 2XL above, whereas on the real one, both the E and O of Euro are equally to the side of 2 and L of 2XL respectively. Now I know this might sound confusing, but if you actually take a close look, it becomes quite obvious. Again, if the font is similar, you also have to look at the overall layout like in this example. Always keep a lookout for things like these because although done better, things are just simply placed wrong in this example compared to the fake. If you happen to see a brand new New Balance Roma shirt with tags, like I said earlier, just know that shirts that come from official sources have tags on the sleeves. It might not necessarily mean it's fake. If you see someone selling a shirt on eBay with the tags on the neck, maybe they want to make it look new, but it's definitely a red flag to look out for. Another thing you were going to want to check is the internal tags. This is what they look on the real one, whereas some fakes online have them looking like this, blatantly off. So get yourself some pictures if people are selling these. The New Balance code at the front and bottom of the shirt is super important as well. Any elite/player version will have the codes in golden numbers, whereas the standard versions of the shirts will be in silvers. Some fakes are blatantly wrong, but this example on the screen is actually quite decent. But when you look at the authentic and compare it to the fake, you can tell that something is off with the font. If you cross-reference some letters or numbers, they're completely different. For example, the B, you can tell is off. The gaps in the middle, the holes in the middle of the B are definitely off, and a sign that the shirt is fake. On camera, it's also hard to tell, but the name sets should not look this easily crumpled up like paper. That's definitely another red flag. The quality should be more apparent, and the color on fake name sets also tends to be more washed out. It's off. So compare them to pictures online, compare them even to these examples I have here, especially on the yellow orangish name sets where the authentic is a darker, more full orange yellowish, and the fakes tend to be much lighter, like they've had the color kind of sucked out of them. And then the New Balance dry tag on the back and bottom of the shirt is something to keep an eye out, because although they tend to be quite similar, you can see that some fakes have the New Balance dry logo placed wrong compared to the authentic, because on the authentic, the New Balance dry has this font specifically and is also placed on the middle part of the tag, whereas on this fake on the screen you can see that the New Balance dry lettering is placed all the way up and it's not centered in the middle of the black tag. If you're lucky, some of the fakes that you're going to come across are just going to look awful like these ones, and a simple eye test will suffice. But more often than not, if these were the only fakes circulating, you probably wouldn't even need help. Overall, I can't lie, for this season's shirt, it's actually a bit of a nightmare, specifically if you're adamant about getting authentic only products. I wouldn't want to be someone collecting Roma shirts in 5 years time and looking on eBay to find an authentic one from this season, because it takes a little more effort to be able to tell some fakes from the real ones. Regardless, I hope this was useful. If there's anything I missed, be sure to drop it down below.